Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Birds vs. Boys Week 2 Dallas Cowboys reaction show with me, K-Mess. The Dallas Cowboys win 20-17 at home against last year's Super Bowl playing team, the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and that super team they have up in Cincinnati. But Dallas comes away victorious, brings the record to 1-1. And all I have to say is this game was never in doubt. It was never in doubt last week after Dallas was the only team in the NFL not to score a touchdown. It was never in doubt last week when Dallas lost Dak Prescott to a thumb injury, lost Jaron Curse, lost their starting left guard, Connor McGovern. It was never in doubt all week. Never in doubt when they announced practice squad quarterback Cooper Rush would get the start and they wouldn't be going after another quarterback on the market like a Jimmy Garoppolo. It was never in doubt when the game started. It was never in doubt when the Cowboys were up big. It was never in doubt when Cincinnati came all the way back and had a 9-minute drive, their longest drive since like 2001. It was never in doubt when they tied the game 17-all. And it was absolutely never in doubt when Dallas went for a 50-yard kick with Brett Maher. Never in doubt. The Cowboys had this game won all week long. If you were one of those fans that put a bag over your head, if you were one of those fans that said this season was done, if you were one of those fans that were saying, I can't find a win on this schedule, you, sir, are a loser. You, ma'am, are a clown. You have no faith. Because this game, this week, against that team, was never in doubt. And that is why we love football. Because just when you know your team is going to succeed, they do. Just when you thought you might be out, they pull you back in. I'm so happy. I'm so pumped. It's amazing what happens after your team wins a game, right? Especially wins a game in the afternoon, and then you get to enjoy Sunday night football. You could just watch the Packers and the Bears, kick your feet up, lean back, and just watch football. You know why? Because your team already won. And now that's what you get to do. That's what I get to do tonight for 2 Monday Night Football games. 2 of them, one including the Birds, the first half of this podcast, Birds vs. Boys. And if you don't subscribe to the full podcast, make sure you listen wherever podcasts are. That's where we are. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you click that subscribe button. And if you know other people that aren't subscribed, tell them to come here, click that subscribe button, watch all of our normal podcasts, myself and Aiden, the Bird. We have nothing but phenomenal guests. We've had RJ Ochoa and Brandon Lee Gouton back to back, half the Birds, half the Boys. And we're just going to have more and more phenomenal guests this year. So make sure you check out our weekly podcast, wherever podcasts are, and make sure that you follow Birds vs. Boys at Birds vs. Boys Pod on Twitter, on TikTok, and follow me on Twitter, KMS22, dropping nothing but Dallas Cowboys fire. But like I said, the Cowboys win. This is a reaction show. So just going to go a little bit through parts of the game. Not going to lie, kind of missed the first quarter of the game. Didn't miss it. Had to listen to it. Have a new baby at home, 7-month-old. Had to drive her around for that cat nap, make sure she got her 45-minute nap in. Wife said, it's on you. Nap started at 4:15. Game started at 4:25. So what did I do? The old dad trickaroo. Put Brad Sham and Babe Loffenberg in one AirPod while I drove around. So I did listen to the game. And I got to say, I love listening to sports. I'm that guy that when I'm driving and I'm listening, they say, coming from left to right on your screen, I literally, as I'm driving, have to go like this. So, okay, I can visualize it in my head. So I listened to the first quarter of the game and then got to watch the rest of it. And got to say, first thing that I absolutely love was the Cowboys going for it on 4th and 2 on their first drive. That just showed me that Mike McCarthy, Kellen Moore, and all the way up to Jerry Jones knew how important this game was. Not only for the team, but for the fan base, and how important it was to start fast and start hot because it's amazing what scoring first does to your team, especially when your team has a defense like the Dallas Cowboys do, like your team has a Micah Parsons like the Dallas Cowboys do, because if you get up, you can sustain. So they go for it on 4th and 2. At first, I'm like, are they just going to try and draw them off sides here? They're going to do the old switcheroo and try and catch the Bengals with 12 men on the field, try and get the easy 5 yards. If they do, cool. But no, they actually went for it, and they went for it. A 17-yard strike to Noah Brown from Cooper Rush, and the Cowboys were off and running. And that seemed to be a connection all day long. Cooper Rush to Noah Brown. Noah had 5 catches and 95 yards, and he had a touchdown catch on that first drive that I'm talking about. And that is his first ever NFL touchdown. Congratulations, Noah Brown. He's been part of the Dallas Cowboys for 27 years now. The team has stuck with him. He's been a blocker. He's been a special teams guy. He remade his body. He didn't want to be that blocking wide receiver / is he just a big tight end? Lost some weight, remade his body, as people say, and he has become a legitimate threat. He was a threat all camp, all preseason, and everyone's like, can he do it in the regular season? And he did it in this game, did it big. I think all 5 of his catches, the one on the last drive, 2 others to sustain drives on 3rd downs. If he doesn't have all 5 of those catches, I don't know if the Cowboys win this game. So he was a X factor in this game, as well as CeeDee Lamb was, right? First week, he had 11 targets, only 2 catches. You can't have that out of your number 1 wide receiver, especially when you see the new number 1 wide receiver, A.J. Brown, over there in Philly, going for 10 for 155. This week, he had 11 targets once again, 7 catches for over 70 yards. Much more impact in this game as well. He had big catches. He had the big catch to set up the game-winning field goal at the end. He was definitely hobbled by an injury in the second half. I don't know if you saw, the lineman, Biotis, was trying to call over the training staff, and CeeDee Lamb said, yeah, that's not happening. They kept him in the game, taped it up. He definitely wasn't the same player, so we'll have to see what happens if this is anything long-term. But yeah, he stepped up big in this game. Dennis Houston, big old 0 for 0. And this is where I say, what's going on with Jalen Tolbert, the 3rd-round rookie? He still was inactive for his 2nd game in a row. He can't run out there and go 0 for 0 like the undrafted free agent Dennis Houston did. So I'm interested to see what happens this upcoming week in New York if Jalen Tolbert is active. I have a feeling he's not going to be again, because I feel like this is going to be the week you're going to get Michael Gallup back. And I don't also know if they want to start the rookie on the road in a quote-unquote hostile environment in New York, a.k.a. New Jersey, because that is a lot of the time a Cowboys quote-unquote home game in the Meadowlands. But I don't know if they're going to want to start him on the road. Probably going to want his first game to be in Dallas, so he's probably going to be inactive for week 3 as well. Makes me a little weary, but Michael Gallup's back. If we can get 11 targets, 7 or 8, 9 catches from CeeDee Lamb, if Noah Brown can keep giving you what he's been giving you, I think he's on pace for 1,350 in yards this year. Not going to happen, but good start to the season. Then you add in a Michael Gallup, see what they can do. Cooper Rush, I take my hat off to you, man. 2 for 2 in starts for the Dallas Cowboys, beat the Minnesota Vikings last year, and now beat the Cincinnati Bengals this year, and both games with game-winning drives at the end, making big throws. He did it last year. He had the long completion to Amari Cooper, RIP, and then the game-winning touchdown to Amari Cooper, RIP. This year, game-winning drive, hits CeeDee Lamb to set it up after hitting Noah Brown, chunk plays, and then Brett Maher. Oh, sweet, sweet Brett Maher. Who says you can't come back home? With the 50-yard field goal to win it, which everybody thought was leaking right. I thought it wasn't good, and I was watching it on my phone because it was bedtime, and I had to read Goodnight Moon. But thank you for hitting the game winner and not going to overtime, because the game winner was hit right as I had to open the book and start Goodnight Moon for bedtime. So perfect timing for me. Thank you very much. Got my baby girl her first ever win as a Dallas Cowboys fan. Now, we talked about the receivers. We've talked about the great job Cooper Rush did. We have to talk about this offensive line. Tyler Smith at left tackle, the rookie first-round pick, only has allowed 3 pressures in 2 games, going against Shaq Barrett and then the Cincinnati front. Not too shabby. He's looked really good in pass protection. He's looked even better in run blocking. He's powerful. He's strong. Yes, I think he's gotten away with a bunch of holds so far, but hey, they haven't been called, so they haven't been holds. I've been really impressed with this young man. I think he is the left tackle of the future. So we just need to keep him out at left tackle, keep giving him reps, game action. But the issue seems to be center with Biotish, which I've been yelling for 2 years now that Biotish is not it. He seemed to struggle at times. And Farniak at left guard, your backup left guard since McGovernor's out, had some good times in the game, but also struggled. So I think this is where you try and plug in Jason Peters if you can. He's played guard before. He did it in Philly. Probably doesn't want to do it. Probably wants to start at tackle. However, he's a left side player now. You're not going to throw him over there in right tackle. And hey, Terrence Steele had a bounce back game. I think PFF graded him at an 84. I think he was the highest graded offensive player actually for the Cowboys in week 2. So you're not going to put Jason Peters over at right tackle. You're not going to put Tyler Smith over at right tackle. They've been saying it since the second they drafted him. He's a left side player. I don't think you can move the young player back into guard after 2 weeks playing tackle and playing well. So I think if you're going to make a move, it has to be putting Jason Peters at left guard for Farniak. I'm interested to see what happens in the next coming weeks once Jason Peters is ready to go. But all in all, an impressive game for the Dallas Cowboys offense being run by their backup quarterback in Cooper Rush. Yes, they put up 17 in the first half and then only 3 in the second half. You could say they went a little conservative in the second half. You could also say that Cincinnati adjusted, and they did. I loved the usage of Pollard. We need to get him out on that edge. He had that long catch and run. Looked almost just like the run he had where he hurt his plantar fascia last year against New Orleans. Just missed the touchdown, but I love that they kept it and gave it to him from the inch line. Kind of would have felt dirty if they gave that touchdown to Zeke. So I was very impressed by him. And then the defense. What can we say about this defense? They've only given up 17, 20 last week against 2 good offenses, Tom Brady and Joe Burrow. To give up only 17 to this Cincinnati team. Yes, there were parts in the second half where they did that bend, don't break. They broke a little bit. They gave up the touchdown and the 2-point conversion to tie. And that's kind of where I've seen this movie before, right? The Cowboys are getting punched in the face. They're losing this game, but they stayed resilient. They came back and they won. They made stops when they had to. Trevon Diggs with the unbelievable stop tackle on third down that essentially won the game. He was on Jamar Chase a lot in this game. Only allowed 2 catches. For everybody that said he's going to cook him. Did you see the college tape? Jamar was at LSU. Trevon was at Alabama. Trevon has heard all the critics. Yeah, he jumped off Twitter, but who cares? He listened. He played so well. Yeah, he had a little questionable non-tackle on Hayden Hurst, but I mean, who wants to tackle a big boy Hayden Hurst? And then he made up for it for the tackle on the end. The defensive run stopping was incredible compared to week 1. They held Joe Mixon to 3 yards a carry. I think he only had 50 some yards. He had his longest run was for 10 yards. He was basically ineffective, even at the second half when they just kept giving it to him at 2 yards a clip because they wanted to punch the Cowboys in the face. They stood resilient. And that was one of the most impressive parts of this. Guys like Dante Fowler showed up. Guys like Dorrance Armstrong having 2 sacks. Anthony Barr played a lot more time in this game. He had the Rough penalty on the first drive on the third down that kept it going, but he settled in. Leighton Vander Esch played well in this game, had a sack, but it's a Micah Parsons show, ladies and gentlemen. He is the best defensive player in the league. He's not the best linebacker. He's not the best DN. He's not the best. He's the best defensive player in this league. He is a straight up weapon. You saw what the game plan was. Go wreck the game, Micah. Go wreck this offensive line. Go wreck Lyle Collins. This was Jerry. Jerry called down and said, listen here, Dan Quinn, I need you to put Micah on Lyle and let his ass whoop him all game long so these damn fans get off my ass and they say, maybe it was a good idea for them to release this Lyle Collins. He's lost a step. So you have my boy, that Lion, just whoop that ass all game. And that is what Micah did. He whooped Lyle's ass. He whooped Humphrey's ass. He whooped that entire offensive line's ass and Joe Burrow. 2 more sacks. He has 4 on the season. And even when he wasn't getting the sacks, he was in Joe Burrow's face, making him throw the ball much quicker than he wanted to, disrupting plays all over. He got dinged up in the second half. Doesn't want to talk about it. He was definitely looked a little hobbled at the end, but I mean, he said after the game, I'm hurt every play. I'm hurt every game. I need to play through the pain for my team, for these fans. This is just the beginning. I could not be more impressed by a player than I am of Micah Parsons. I can't believe that 11 other teams passed on him. Thank you very much, because he is a joy to watch. Remember when people said that he had character issues? I don't see him. Remember when everybody said he quit on Penn State because he didn't play during the COVID year? He seems to be the biggest team player there is in this sport. So just keep doing what you're doing, Micah. We love you. We appreciate you. You're a game wrecker. And this defense, I'm not going to say they're great. I'm not going to say they're dominant, but right on the fringe. And if they can hold teams like that offense to 17 points all game, maybe Dallas has a chance to win a couple more games this year than I gave them credit for. All in all, offensive, defensive, special teams across the board, Dallas put in the effort, and they got the win. They got a big win. Huge win. Yes, it's an AFC win, but I don't care. You have to just rack up wins. Other teams get it done with injuries and playing with their backup quarterback. Dallas seems to almost always, besides last year in Minnesota, never do it. Cooper Rush comes in again. Ho-hum, lunch pail type guy, doesn't like to celebrate, doesn't like to talk, goes in, knows the offense, has the connection with guys like Noah Brown because they've been playing scout team together so long. They came to the Cowboys the same year, and they got it done. And now, looking ahead, they have one extra day to get ready, head to the Meadowlands to play this 2-0 New York Giants team. Dan Quinn, Dable seems to have brought some energy. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens on the road. I think this Dallas Cowboys defense is going to be able to get after that offensive line and Daniel Jones next week, but we will see. I'll get more into that this week with Aiden when we look ahead on the Birds vs. Boys full pod. But thank you for listening to this week's Dallas Cowboys reaction show. The Cowboys win 20-17 at home against the Bengals in dominant Micah Parsons fashion. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at Birds vs. Boys Pod. Myself on Twitter, KMS22. Slam that subscribe button on YouTube. Tell your friends, tell your family. You don't have to be a Birds fan. You don't have to be a Boys fan to watch and listen and enjoy to Birds vs. Boys. We are a full NFL podcast just with the flair of the best rivalry in the NFL. I will be back next week after the Cowboys take on the Giants in their first division game for the reaction show. And I will also be on this week's Birds vs. Boys pod that will drop on Thursday. Go Boys!